Donald Trump is a winner. He's going to win for the American people. That's just the way it's going to be. There's going to be no recession in America.
Will these policies be worth it if they lead to a recession, even a short-term recession?
These policies are the most important thing America has ever had.
So it is worth it.
It is worth it. I don't think the only reason there could possibly be a recession is because of the Biden nonsense that we had to live with. Donald?
Yes, you read that right. One man inside the U.S. government could be setting up the biggest Bitcoin pump in history. And this isn't clickbait. It's bigger than most people realize. I'm talking about the U.S. Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. I'm talking about his web of connections that puts him right in the middle of a shadow network of whales holding nearly 600,000 Bitcoin. So why is someone with that much power building a $2 billion Bitcoin machine? And what does Tether have to do with all of this? And is the U.S. government actually planning a sovereign wealth fund to back all of this up?
Now, this is very interesting. Could the Trump administration economic plan rest on the rewriting of the entire financial system, but with the goal of expanding the money supply without expanding the money supply, with the foundation of this whole plan resting on Bitcoin, digital assets? This podcast is most likely going to be the most informative podcast that I'm ever going to do, and it's going to force everyone to look at a different way of looking at financing. Remember, we're in a leverage-based system. Money is created via the creation of debt. Money is debt. So again, this whole context is around leverage. Man, this is going to be fun. Let's get this thing. You see that thing, baby? Let's get it and let's go.
We on now. They respect us cause we on now. Money up, run the whole town, don't we? This power money can't slow down. Money won't slow down. Ooh, we doing live. Why they party? I'm in here grinding. Money I'm stacking, why they rock diamonds? I can't relate to them, ain't my chick calming. I set a goal for me 2 or 3 commas. 7 figures, 8 figures to 9 figures. On a slow pace to get rich quick. Same time we just think different. Cause when you make it, it hit different.
What it do, baby? It's your partner Dale back in the saddle again for another edition of the Counter Move podcast, guys. Today on Thursday at 8:30 p.m., guys. Thank you so much for your time. If you could do me a favor, guys, if you could share, like, and subscribe. And I believe, guys, you are going to enjoy this Counter Move podcast, because baby, we talking money and finance on this one, baby, and my favorite subject, leverage. So let's dive in this thing, guys. All right, guys. Now, last week I talked about how Trump's plan when it comes to Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, was he trying to kind of rewrite the entire plan? What was his ultimate secret crypto plan? And was it the ultimate inflation hedge? So we talked about that last week, right? Now, so we're going to revisit that discussion, but now we're going to talk about there's one man within the government that is kind of controlling this. So remember, we talked about his ultimate plan. Now let's go over the topics. Here's the topics. Again, Trump's secret crypto plan. Number 2, we're going to talk about how one man could 10x Bitcoin, right? How Bitcoin is a essential part of President Trump's plan and his entire cabinet, right? Number 3, could this be the new banking era that could spark financial competition, which is great for you? And what does this mean for the U.S. citizen? How does this work for you? We're going to talk about all that today, man. So this is going to be a really good one. Now let's go back to Trump's secret crypto plan, right? Is this his ultimate inflation hedge? Let's revisit, right? Trump making a historic announcement about this whole crypto thing. Okay, let's revisit this discussion real quickly and see him make this announcement, because this rocked everybody. Everybody was shocked by this announcement with President Trump. So let's dive into this one real quickly and see what he says about this. You know what? I'm gonna make it. Yeah, we go. No, I like it. I like it like this. That's better. All right, let's dive into this real quickly and let's listen to this announcement that President Trump actually makes. Okay, here we go. Let's dive into it.
Here, I promise to make America the Bitcoin superpower of the world and the crypto capital of the planet. And we're taking historic action to deliver on that promise, as you know, around the table. Yesterday, I signed an executive order officially creating our strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Wow.
And this will be a virtual Fort Knox for digital gold to be housed within the United States Treasury. That's a big thing, Scott.
Big deal. That's a big deal. Big deal. Big deal. Big deal. But he's ran on his feet, right? Huge deal, right?
The federal government is already among the largest holders of Bitcoin, as you know.
What?
Really one of the largest holders in the world, with as many as 200,000 Bitcoin obtained via civil law and various other forms of law, and including enforcement actions. These existing holdings will form the foundation of the new reserve.
What new
Unfortunately,
reserve?
in recent years, the U.S. government has foolishly sold tens of thousands of additional Bitcoin that were worth billions and billions of dollars had they not sold them.
Wow.
But they did sell them, mostly during the Biden administration.
Wow.
Not a good thing to have done.
Now listen.
From this day on, America will follow the rule that every Bitcoin knows very well: never sell your Bitcoin. That's a little phrase that they have.
Never.
I don't know if that's right or not. Who the hell knows, right?
He said that, and watch the hand claps of never sell your Bitcoin. So in this announcement, Trump talks about basically a Federal Reserve for Bitcoin digital assets, right? And he talked about how America owns a large amount of Bitcoin. He talks about that. And then number 3, he talks about how he campaigned on this and also how you should never sell your Bitcoin. Now, he said he didn't know this right or not, but you heard the hand claps around the table. So who's at the table, guys? The Secretary of Treasury, right? Secretary Bessent, the Secretary of the SBA, she's there. But there's one person that I really want to focus on that has a lot of power right now. A lot of power, right? And this man right here, let me go ahead and get rid of this. This man right here, how one man, this is the sitting Secretary of Commerce, could 10x Bitcoin from inside the U.S. government. Now, this man here is very important to know and understand his role. It's extremely important, right? So you heard the announcement of this. You heard about it. Now, let's bring in Yahoo Finance because they actually reported on the announcement, and I want you to pay attention to what the executive order actually said. Okay, look at this, and we're going to bring in our VC, a guy. You may know him. He did a presentation on this to break all this down of how the sitting U.S. Commerce Secretary, how he's probably one of the most powerful members in the cabinet, in the government. All right, let's bring in Yahoo Finance real quickly, guys, and let's hear them talk about this announcement. This was a big announcement, but I want you guys to pay attention to the language, details, language in this EO, the language. All right, let's pay attention to it. Here we go. Let's dive into it. Here we go.
Bitcoin trading above 90,000 after the White House issued an executive order establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve. It was actually initially met with disappointment, but we've now seen a bit of a reversal here with Bitcoin moving to the upside. Joining us now from the White House with more is Yahoo Finance's own Jennifer Schomburger. Jen.
Here we go.
Good morning, Shauna. President Trump officially issuing an executive order Thursday night establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve, just as the president is set to host the first ever crypto summit from the White House this afternoon. Now, this reserve will consist of Bitcoin owned by the federal government that was seized as part of criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings.
Makes sense.
White House crypto czar David Sachs, it means that taxpayers will not pay a dime.
So they have a crypto czar, kind of like the border czar, Tom Homan. They have a David Sachs is the crypto czar. Okay, here we go.
Estimates the U.S. government owns about 200,000 Bitcoin, but says there has never been a complete audit. Now, the executive order asks for a full accounting of the federal government's crypto holdings. Sachs says the U.S. will not sell Bitcoin once it is in the reserve and will be kept as a store of value. He said, quote, the reserve is like a digital Fort Knox for the cryptocurrency often called digital gold. Now, this executive order also directs the secretaries of the Treasury and the Commerce to come up with a budget-neutral strategy to purchase more Bitcoin, provided it does not cost the taxpayers extra money. This executive order also creates a second crypto fund, a U.S. digital asset stockpile that will consist of crypto other than Bitcoin, and it will be solely comprised of crypto seized from criminals. The government will not look to purchase extra crypto like it will with the Bitcoin fund. Now, separately, Senator Elizabeth Warren sent a letter to.
So you hear a lot of meat in what they were talking about there. Two things that are important to me is I think you should focus on is there's going to be two reserves, one for Bitcoin and one for other cryptocurrency, right? One for Bitcoin and one for other cryptocurrency. And they call it digital gold. And they're not selling it once it's there in the reserve because they view Bitcoin as being a store of value. Oh, does that sound dollar-like or petrodollar-like? Because the whole value of the dollar rests on the petrodollar. In other words, oil. Oil was had in the past and currently also the lion's share of it is it has been traded and or bought using the dollar bill, the dollar. That's where you get the term petrodollar. Therefore, that kind of stored the value of the U.S. dollar. Now, when he actually sanctioned Russia, what happened was it kind of turned the commodities industry globally into the Wild Wild West. Let me give you an example. Russia is a huge exporter of petrol oil, right? One of their buyers is the country of China. Now, in the past, whenever oil was sold, it was sold within the currency of the dollar bill, right? Now, what's happening is when this all actually happened, is now after the sanction that Biden did, right? I don't know why he did it. Understand why he did it. Again, it sent the commodities industry into the Wild Wild West. Now, what happened? Russia continued to export oil because that's how they make the lion's share of their revenue when it comes to Russia. Now, watch this now. They're still selling it to China, which is fine, right? And also other states as well. Now, one of them was Germany as well. But guess what? China was actually buying the oil not with the U.S. dollar, but with the Chinese currency, because the move of sanctioning China destabilized the commodities market. So therefore, the countries did not trust the U.S. dollar, so they began to buy oil and some other goods in their own currency. Even Saudi Arabia was doing it in their currency. That's how that move that Biden did was destabilized. Now, again, that agreement when it comes to making the U.S. dollar the chief currency to buy oil in, which countries are still doing to this day. The lion's share of the acquisitions, and when it comes to petrol is done in the U.S. dollar. I want to make that clear, right? But it destabilized, it destabilized the value of the dollar because the countries didn't trust it anymore because it was a handshake agreement. and the U.S. violated that. That's what actually happened, right? So therefore, now get this counter. I'm unfolding this for you. China, seeing this move, made a smart move. What did they do? China created its own crypto, its own coin, because they saw this was a chance for them to be able to kind of make a move in the U.S. and kind of sidestep sanctions from the U.S., right? So they created their own coin. They were actually behind Biden actually winning the election, right? Because his policies were more friendlier to China. Okay, that's fine. That's Biden's policy. Didn't agree with it, but that's Biden's policy. Now, let's keep going. Trump wins in November 6th. He wins. Trump wins, right? Now what happens is another economic policy comes into play. Trump, being a real estate mogul himself, sees the play that China has made when it comes to crypto. So what did President Trump begin to do while he was campaigning? He actually campaigned on this play on Bitcoin, which is making Bitcoin a Federal Reserve. Now, to kind of unfold a little bit more, you actually have the Secretary of the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, Chairman Powell, as well as President Trump going kind of button heads. President Trump wants the Fed chairman to lower the rates, right? But at the exact same time, the Fed chairman says, no, I'm going to keep them the same. And I actually agree with the Fed chairman because of the fact that there was so much printing that was done in the last year of the Trump administration, right? Because of COVID, and then throughout the Biden administration as well also. Now get this, guys. In the last 5 years, 40% of this nation's currency was printed in the last 5 years. Let me say that again. 40% of this nation's currency, right, was printed in the last 5 years. That includes Trump. Right? So I kind of agree with the Fed chair when it comes to keeping the rates the same because there's so much excess cash in the market. Now, Trump got a problem now because Trump actually ran on lowering down interest rates, lowering down prices, making America wealthy again. He got a problem because now he has to figure this out. But this is the reason why he actually ran on Bitcoin. I noticed when Trump was sitting down doing the podcast, as well as when he got elected, he was very calm when it comes talking about the economy. So was the Commerce Secretary, so was the Secretary of Treasury. They were all calm. Why? Of this next move, this announcement he makes concerning Bitcoin, creating its own Federal Reserve. So look at how it kind of mimics the Federal Reserve Bank. So yeah, the Federal Reserve Bank that actually has a chairman, Chairman Powell, right? Which is not federal. It has no reserves. It's not a bank, right? And then he creates essentially a Federal Reserve Bank for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because it's going to be two reserves, right? Now, he's going to begin. His goal is to create a store of value for cryptocurrency, right? And to funnel all this through the financial system. Does that make sense? Does that seem similar to the current system? You see what I'm saying? When debt is created, money is just debt. When debt is created, money flows to the banks, right? And then what happens is the banks then, of course, lend that money out. Long and short of it is what happens, right? The same thing when it comes to Bitcoin. He is essentially taking control of Bitcoin. Now, why do we do that for? Guys, did you guys know out of all the cryptocurrency transactions that's done throughout on the globe, 95% is done via the US dollar? What you say, Chuck? 95% of all cryptocurrency transactions is transacted by the US dollar. Sound familiar to the petrodollar? Do you see why he's saying digital gold? Do you see why he's saying don't sell your Bitcoin. Do you see why he's saying we need to have two reserves, one for Bitcoin and one for other cryptocurrencies? Do you see? It's kind of like he's setting up another financial system and allowing for the system itself on the cryptocurrency side, the market itself, to force the Fed chairman to lower the rates. Not because of the normal system, it's because this new system he's created. Man, this is so good, y'all. This is so good. I hope I'm not boring you guys. So let's dive in this real quickly, guys. Now, let's bring in this here. Now, let's talk about this man. This man here, Howard Ludwig. He is the sitting Secretary of Commerce. How this one man could 10x Bitcoin from inside of the U.S. government. We're going to talk about his background and what he's setting up. Man, this is going to be so good. But before we do that, guys, let me bring in. I want you to see how confident Secretary Ludwig is real quickly when it comes to the economy. He went on CNBC, right? And he's talking to them about what's going on. I want you guys to see how calm he is. How calm he is. It's scary how calm he is, but you're going to see why he's so calm here in a second. Here we go. Let's dive into this real quickly and listen to our Secretary of Commerce. Here we go.
The president want a rising stock market because we do have stocks 6% off the highs, and confidence is being shaken here a little bit around business. I know you guys wanted lower interest rates, and you're getting that, but kind of for the wrong reasons, because now there's worries about growth and potentially recession because of a trade war.
The president wants American growth and American prosperity. Okay, and the fact that the stock market goes down 0.5% or 1%, it goes up 0.5% or 1%, that is not the driving force of our outcomes. Our outcomes are driven by, we want factory production in America. We want employment to explode in America. We want training for the new AI industrial revolution to happen in America. We're going to bring factories back to America. We're going to rebuild Michigan. We're going to rebuild Ohio. Why do those auto plants go to Canada? Why would we have auto plants go from Michigan to Canada? Why is that in our community's interest? We want to rebuild steel and aluminum. The president is focused on rebuilding America, and you are going to see growth in America. You're going to see an interest rate when we balance the budget of the United States. You're going to see interest rates drop 1% or more. You're going to see the stock market explode. And if it doesn't do it tomorrow, that's because people just don't understand that they should be betting on Donald Trump. If I were them and I were your viewers, I would understand the long-term trade of Donald Trump is you bet on him, and he is the winner, and he is going to win for America.
Well, we are going to obviously.
That is a lot of confidence in not only the president, but also the economic plan. That's a lot of confidence, a ton of confidence. Now, we're going to see why he's so confident. We'll see why he's so confident, guys. All right. Now, let's dive into this now. This is what you came to see. How this one man could 10x Bitcoin, and it's from inside of the government. Man, this is going to be so good, y'all. All right, here we go, guys. Let's dive in this real quickly. All right. This is Mark Moss. He's going to introduce himself in the presentation, guys. And then what's going to happen is you're going to see he's going to get out a diagram and diagram all this out of how they're going to make this happen. Here we go.
Yes, you read that right. One man inside the U.S. government could be setting up the biggest Bitcoin pump in history. And this isn't clickbait. It's bigger than most people realize. I'm talking about the U.S. Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. I'm talking about his web of connections that puts him right in the middle of a shadow network of whales holding nearly 600,000 Bitcoin. So why is someone with that much power building a $2 billion Bitcoin machine? And what does Tether have to do with all of this? And is the U.S. government actually planning a sovereign wealth fund to back all of this up? Now, real quick on Mark Moss, I've sold multiple tech companies, invested through every boom and bust market for the last 2 decades. And today I'm a partner at a top Bitcoin venture capital fund.
Yep.
I advise public tech companies, and I also publish the Quantum Wave Investment Report, where I help investors profit from the biggest shifts in technology and money before the rest of the world wakes up. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how Lutnick's strategy works, the $2 billion Bitcoin playbook that's unfolding right now, how it ties into 2 potential U.S. Bitcoin programs, yes, government-backed programs, why this could ignite the most aggressive Bitcoin bull run that we've ever seen. Trust me, this rabbit hole goes deep. So let's go.
All right, guys. Subscribe.
All right, so let's jump right into this. I'm going to use my whiteboard here on my computer to try to map all this out for you, draw it out for you. Okay, so at the center of all this, we have one man working inside the government, and that is Howard Lutnick. Now, most people don't know who he is, but if you do know, you probably know he's the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald.
Yes.
It's an old school Wall Street institution. But what they don't know is that he's also the current U.S. Commerce Secretary, meaning he's not just playing the game. He's not just in Wall Street trying to play along. He's actually in the U.S. government writing the rules. So that's Howard Lutnick. Now, his company is Cantor Fitzgerald. So let's bring this over. As I said, this is an old school Wall Street firm. And Cantor Fitzgerald quietly announced a new Bitcoin financing business. So what they want to do is they want to provide financing or liquidity in the Bitcoin space, specifically for borrowing against your Bitcoin. So they have a $2 billion fund that they've set up to finance people that want to borrow against their Bitcoin, which is great because, as I always say all the time, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. And that's
so again, I want you to understand this. We're in a leverage-based economic system. Money is debt. So when you hear him say, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. Yes, there are banks that will loan against your Bitcoin. That's important. Remember that fact, okay? Here we go.
That's exactly what they're doing. They've announced they have $2 billion of liquidity for Bitcoin, and let's go ahead and bring Bitcoin over so we have this on our game board as well. So here we have Lutnick, the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, bringing in $2 billion of new liquidity, entering the system without triggering any supply-demand metrics, and then we have Bitcoin right here.
So he's bringing in new liquidity without triggering any buy, sell, or inflation things at all. Again, new liquidity. Again, the goal is to expand the monetary base without expanding the monetary base. That's the plan. Okay, that's the plan. Let's keep listening, guys. Here we go.
So we're starting to see how this is shaping up. Now, as I said, Lutnick is in the government. Now, before he was just part of Wall Street, but now he's part of Wall Street and he's in the government and he's writing the policy in order to do this. It's a book right out of Wall Street's financial engineering playbook. By the way, Bitcoin 2025 is coming up in Las Vegas here. I'm going to be there speaking. Come hang out. I'll put a link down below if you want to save some money on tickets and come hang out with me. You never know who's going to be there. Well, I'll be there. Okay, so now here's where it starts getting interesting. Now, Cantor Fitzgerald is an old school Wall Street investment firm. They've invested into many things, like, for example, over here, a very controversial company you might have heard quite a bit about, Tether. Now, Tether is a U.S. dollar stablecoin. It's the oldest U.S. dollar stablecoin, and it's been rumored for years and years and years and years and years to be behind Bitcoin pumping and all of that. I've never believed any of that. That's a whole nother subject. If I'm going to make a video about that, let me know in the comments down below. But Tether is the largest U.S. dollar stablecoin company, and they hold over 83,000 Bitcoin. Now, who owns a big piece of them? Well, that would be, of course, Cantor Fitzgerald.
What you say?
Here we have over here Cantor Fitzgerald owning about 5% of Tether. So Lutnick owns Cantor Fitzgerald as CEO. They have now launched Bitcoin products, and they also own 5% of Tether over here.
So Howard Lutnick owns Cantor Fitzgerald, and they own 5% of Tether. It's a powerful combination. And he's the sitting U.S. Commerce Secretary. Let's keep it going. And they specialize in Bitcoin, cryptocurrency.
Okay, so we're starting to see how this whole thing shapes out. Now, why would this legacy Wall Street firm buy into the biggest stablecoin printer in the entire world?
Yes.
Well, probably because they know exactly where this is headed.
Whoa.
All right, now another big investment that Cantor Fitzgerald has made is in this company, Strategy. You might have heard of them, formerly MicroStrategy. They've gone ahead and changed their name because they're all in Bitcoin now. Now, at this point, we know that Cantor Fitzgerald took a massive investment into Strategy. We don't know exactly how much ownership, about $1 billion, just in Q4 of 2024, so very recent. So if you think Strategy is not a good play, well, you might want to go talk to Letnick because he just put $1 billion in last quarter. He obviously understands something about Strategy that we don't. So now we have Letnick inside the U.S. government, CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, making massive investments, $1 billion investment in Strategy, $600 million investment into Tether, because they know exactly what's going on. But here's where things even get more shocking. As Commerce Secretary, Letnick is working with the Treasury and the White House economic advisors to build not one, but 2 government-level Bitcoin programs. First of all, they are building a U.S. sovereign wealth fund, of which potentially Letnick will be in charge of. So Letnick now will be directing the U.S. government to be investing money as part of a U.S. sovereign wealth fund.
What you say,
now,
Chuck?
What do you think that Letnick might advise the U.S. sovereign wealth fund to buy? Well, if you're looking at this web, you might think Bitcoin, and you'd probably be right. The other plan that the government has put together is a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve. And of course, what would they be buying specifically? Well, it says it right in the name. And that would be Bitcoin as well. So now we have Letnick, CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, making $billion investments into Strategy and into Tether, and as well as creating a $2 billion product around Bitcoin. At the same time, working inside the government to get the government to buy Bitcoin for both the U.S. Sovereign Wealth Fund and a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Now, what would the goal of all this be? Well, of course, if you can get the government to make it budget neutral, meaning that they don't spend any more money from taxes, then the direct cost to the public is none. But let's be real here. That's government code for financial engineering. But what do we really get here? Well, we get a man with power in both government and finance. We get a $1 trillion firm issuing Bitcoin-backed leverage. We get 2 of the biggest whales in crypto standing behind it. And we have a government quietly positioning itself to become Bitcoin's biggest holder. Now, look, this isn't some dream. This isn't some fragmented movement. This is a Bitcoin flywheel machine, a feedback loop machine, if you will. So how does this machine actually work, besides obviously putting all these pieces together? Well, what happens is, number one, is we get a capital injection into Cantor's play. So by Cantor Fitzgerald working with Wall Street and allowing Wall Street to bring that liquidity into the market without having to sell their Bitcoin, we have all this new capital entering the market. Now, all that new capital entering the market boosts their buying power without increasing the supply. So if we can do that without increasing the supply, that pushes the price up. That puts upward pressure on the price.
So it improves the buying power without increasing the price. What you say, Chuck? They're getting all of the benefits of using the dollar without using the dollar. Do you see what I mean by expanding the monetary base, right? Without expanding the monetary base? You see? They're creating a shadow system, right? This is why the new banking area that could spark financial competition. Let's go. Let's get it in.
But that's just the beginning.
Yes.
Step number 2 is then the market activity starts to surge. So all that fresh leverage, all that demand starts flooding in. Now we have traders, we have funds, we have whales starting to use borrowed capital to accumulate even more Bitcoin.
Borrowed capital.
Because, of course, they're all expecting the price to rise. Now this increased buying activity pushes prices higher, just like we saw during previous bull runs, except for this time, the liquidity is coordinated from the top. The third part, step 3, is we have major stakeholders starting to profit. And so as Bitcoin starts going up, we have companies here like Strategy holding 500,000 Bitcoin now.
Wow.
We have companies like Tether owning 84,000 Bitcoin, seeing the value of their holdings explode. Imagine as Bitcoin goes from 120, 150, 200, and MicroStrategy or now Strategy owns 500,000 of them.
Correct.
Now remember, as the value of their holdings goes up, so does their equity.
Correct.
And Cantor Fitzgerald owns both. They own Bitcoin and they own the company's equity. And so as the company's equity and their valuation goes up, then Cantor Fitzgerald gets, shall we say, a double dip.
Wow.
Now, step number 4 is institutional endorsement. So here's where it starts getting really interesting. You see, when the government, through the U.S. Sovereign Wealth Fund and the U.S. Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, as the government adoption enters the cycle through 2 potential moves, through this budget neutral strategy, meaning they're just reallocating money. But what it does is it creates this massive buy side demand. And more importantly, what it does is it signals Bitcoin is now a strategic national asset. What does that mean?
Chuck?
Well, basically, when the U.S. signals full institutional backing of Bitcoin, it's not just the whales piling in anymore. Now it's pensions.
What you say?
It's endowments. It's corporations.
What?
It's other nations.
Huh?
And that leads us to step number 5, which of course is institutional FOMO.
Wow.
So we have now Wall Street. Let's just bring them in here and let's put them at the middle. Now we have institutional FOMO. Now we have created a system that allows them to be okay putting money in. With the government backing of this, they start piling in, which then continues to feed the flywheel.
It sure
They
does.
buy more, they tap into Fitzgerald's debt. They get the debt, they bring more liquidity to market. The buying pushes the price up without bringing new supply to market, which then brings the valuation of Bitcoin up. Then companies like MicroStrategy or Strategy and Tether see the valuation of their holdings go up as well as their stock go up at the same time, and we have a perfect flywheel.
Correct.
The momentum attracts capital. The capital means more demand means more leverage equals higher prices, and the cycle spins again and again. This is the flywheel going round and round and round. And the faster it spins, the faster it goes up. Now, this isn't a hype cycle, right? This is a coordinated system of leverage.
Sure is.
Coordinated system of leverage, legitimacy, and liquidity.
Correct.
That's why I'm calling this a Bitcoin flywheel machine.
Yes.
And it's already in motion. Now, let's talk about what this means for you.
Yes.
Because if you're holding Bitcoin or you're thinking about buying Bitcoin, this changes everything, right?
It does.
This isn't retail FOMO. This isn't another hype wave.
Correct.
This is state level game theory. Correct. This is financial infrastructure being built under your feet.
Yes.
Now, when governments and private sectors start to coordinate like this, they're not speculating.
No.
Right? That's what you and I did in the first phase. What they're doing is positioning. Now, this is why I always show you this chart, let me pull it up here, of the 50-year cycle. So this 50-year cycle I reference all the time is our blueprint to understanding this. So in this 50-year, what I call a quantum wave investment cycle, we have 4 distinct phases. We can see in phase number 1, which we've been in, this first 10 years is what we call the eruption phase. And this is where retail money rushes in. This would be from 2010 to 2020. Then from 2020 to 2030, we have what's called the frenzy phase. Now you can see from this green arrow, this is where we're at right here. It's important to understand this. Now, the reason why it's important to understand this is because these 4 distinct phases give us this blueprint, this roadmap of where we're at.
Correct.
If we look at it from another way, we can see this first part right here, again, was the retail eruption phase. So this is where you and I bought a bunch. We got to front run the governments. We saw the altcoin explosion. But right now, from 2020 to 2030, right in this big part of the move here is the institutional frenzy phase. This is where institutions, where the Wall Street institutions, where the governments, the sovereigns start to frenzy in. This is where the big money is made.
Correct.
If you understand the playbook, you know how to invest through it. Now, this kind of coordinated leverage and demand, it doesn't lead to 20% gains. It leads to multiples. It leads to a full-blown Bitcoin supply shock in the middle of an adoption wave with government signaling right behind it. Now, that's when you stop measuring growth in percentages. You start thinking about it in exponentials. It also means you have to stop investing in the rear view mirror. That means you have to stop thinking about the past. You have to stop thinking about how expensive things are based off of the past. So, yeah, but Bitcoin used to be 10 cents and $10 and $100 and $1,000 and that's in the past. What we want to be doing is investing in the windshield.
Correct.
We want to be thinking about the future, thinking about things where things are going. And by understanding the cycles, you can follow the exact same playbook.
Correct.
Now, if you want to see me break down the entire playbook and show you where I think Bitcoin is in 2030, 2040, and 2050, and give you all the math to back it up, then you might want to go watch this video right here. But here's the thing. Either way, I hope you realize what's happening here. Howard Lutnick's plan isn't some fantasy. It's real. It's unfolding right now. And it could mark the beginning of the next generational wealth transfer for those that are paying attention. Let me know what you think in the comments.
So guys, man, I know there was a lot of information. That was a ton of information. I think Mark did a good job at breaking it down. It made total sense. I'm rocking with him 1,000%, guys. And so let's dive into this real quickly, guys. And I'll give here's a strategy capital impact when it comes to this. Notice how as Mark was kind of laying all this out, it looks just like the financial system, just like it, exactly like it. Federal reserves, right? Flowing through the banking system, right? The bank can give out more loans because you can actually borrow against your Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency, right? The banks are creating their own coins, right? It forces the bank to have to give out better services and products to the consumers, which creates additional securities. The banks can then take those those new loans, whether it be credit cards, car loans, mortgages. They can all package those into mortgage-backed securities, and then Wall Street steps in and they buy those packaged mortgage-backed securities. Why? Because the government backs this. They're backing it. They are backing it. Just like they back the stock market. Just like they back the dollar. This is a brilliant way for them to create additional securities to be able to sell or offer to the stock market and pension funds, IRAs, 403Bs, 401Ks. All of the financial wealth advisors are going to be offering these type of products. So in other words, Trump and his team have essentially expanded the monetary base without expanding the monetary base, because the Fed Chairman Powell correctly paused on lowering the rates, even though President Trump wants him to lower the rates. So Trump then says, okay, I know that you want to see some additional market trends in a certain direction for you to follow what I'm asking you to do, which is lower the rates. Okay. I'm going to mimic the entire system that you're over, sir, but in the digital space. I think only 4% of dollars are printed. 4% on the globe. 4%, all of them, the rest of them are digitized. They're digitized. So Trump rewrites the entire system, and he also instructs all of the executive branch entities to either amend policies and procedures, and also the IRS to amend or make friendly or laws or statutes or tax law that shakes hands with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Although in the past, the government was adversarial against Bitcoin because it was a decentralized platform, and governments love centralized power, right? With 95% of all cryptocurrency transactions being done in the US dollar, this is a brilliant move, and it checks China, it checks Russia, it checks Iran, it checks South Korea, right? I'm sorry, North Korea. It checks Any adversarial nation on the planet toward the U.S., it checks them all. Because now the U.S. government has now said the new petrodollar is Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency, which we control because 95% of all the transactions on the globe are done via the U.S. dollar. Now, do you see why he went so hard in the paint when it came to the tariffs, to bring manufacturing back to the largest consumer base on the planet, with $23 trillion worth of consumers? Now, do you see that? Because if Trump can actually make the U.S. the chief exporter of products, it's checkmate. He's essentially strengthened the economic power of the U.S. government and the consumer, therefore driving up the value of your 401k, Roth IRA, 403b, any TSPs, you name it. I'll forget the rest of it in a second, okay? Right? And the market takes off. Then what happens is now the bank can now give out loans to consumers and to business owners to what? To make investments to either expand the business or start new businesses that will then hire workers, right? That pays them a higher wage, right? Which then what happens is that a worker then goes out and buys the new car, the new house, maybe a second house, goes on vacation, gets more credit cards as well. Also, you see what I'm saying? You see how it trickles down, and the bank is just creating more mortgage securities because the government is behind it. The government is behind it, and Trump also wants to cut income tax and corporate taxes. I'm sorry, payroll taxes. What in the world? So not only do you have a more friendly environment for the business investor, not only do you have a better environment for the W-2 worker, not only do you have a better environment for Wall Street, you have now made the United States supplanted itself as a supreme financial leader for years to come. That's the strategy which attracts the capital, and the impact is a transformed economic system in the United States. Trump is trying to expand the monetary base without expanding the monetary base, therefore not causing inflation, which will then drive the Fed chairman to lower the mortgage interest rates. And then all those trillions of dollars come off the sidelines. And it makes Bitcoin more popular to the average consumer, and they'll begin buying more Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency. And they won't sell it, they'll just leverage it. Again, more securities by the bank being created that they can package into a security and place it on Wall Street. Let's go a little deeper. The government could say, hey, banks, you had to have X amount of Bitcoin, X amount of this coin in your reserves, and we can fractionally lend to you. Sounds just like them having cash on hand and going to the Federal Reserve Bank via fractional reserve lending. This is a brilliant move if executed the right way. Brilliant move. And now for those real estate investors like your partner, right? Like your partner. This move may bring flipping back into play. Flipping. It's real estate investors. Flipping. For those private equity investors, those VCs, cheaper debt, huh? You may want to buy you some Bitcoin that you can actually leverage, right? What Trump has done is he has used what is commonly done in the real estate industry. he has increased the value of an asset that may have been distressed, coupled it with the right partner, the dollar and the government, which is really like a renovation plan, which will then increase the value of the Bitcoin, which then increases the value of the entire economic base, which then increases the value of the U.S. economy. Don't be surprised if Donald Trump uses this play to buy Greenland, right? Or maybe even another country's debt. What you say, Chuck? Yes, sir. This, again, all this is done without printing any new money, because you just leverage the asset with debt. That's all you do, knowing that 95% of all the cryptocurrency is done through with the US dollar. Man, this is so good. This is so damn good, y'all. This is so damn good. Well, all right, y'all. I'm ending. Now, guys, we got to leave with purpose, guys. Leave with purpose. All right, leave with purpose. This is a leadership lesson for today. All right. To whom much is given, much is required. If Trump was talking about doing X, Y, Z as far as when it comes to the U.S. economy, making America great again, that's a big selling point. To whom much is given, much is required, and he got this economy in shambles. So now he's trying to put his money where his mouth is. So I think Trump understood to whom much is given, much is required. This is a big ask. I think he has the right team around him to be able to fulfill it, guys. The right team. They're going to make mistakes. They are. Everybody does. Everybody does. But the overarching thing is this is so good because it effectively increases the monetary base without increasing the monetary base, therefore not causing any bottlenecks or inflation. Damn, that's good. That's good. I don't care if you don't like Donald Trump. You have got to say this is if you're honest, you got to say this is a great move. Smart move. If Biden did it, I'd give Biden a hand clap of praise. If Clinton did it, I'd do the same thing. Obama did it, do the same thing. George Bush did it, I'd do the same thing. I would say the same thing, because why? It's so damn smart. Now I see why the Secretary of Commerce is so calm. Now I see why the Secretary of Treasury is so calm. Now I see why the SPS Secretary is so calm. Now I see how the President is so calm. Now I see why the Vice President is so calm. Now I see why the entire cabinet is like, yeah, this is going to be fun. Yep. Man, I hope this blessed you guys. I hope this blessed you, because this really, really, really blessed me. It really did. Now, guys, I'm always asked, Liddell, could you train me in real estate? And the answer is always yes. It is yes. But guys, hold on one second. I'm going to do something a little different, guys. Give me one sec here. I will train you in real estate, guys. But the thing about it is I'm a big proponent of doing things different, right? I'm a different guy. I'm different. Oh, it didn't work. Dang, it didn't work. I'm sorry, guys. It didn't work. I'm trying to show something to you guys, but I can't do it. It wouldn't let me do it. Dang. Let me try one more time, guys. Let's see what happens. Nope. Oh, there it is. All right, there we go, guys. All right, guys. I'm always asked, Liddell, will you train me in real estate? And the answer is always yes, I can. But I believe in doing something a little bit different than what most people do. Is I really believe giving out information for free. Why? My philosophy is you can learn more by actually doing the work while you read the material. Courses are great coupled with action. So right now, guys, I'm giving away my free distressed property ebook, how to find, vet, and close a distressed property in your city, county, or state, guys. It's real easy to get, guys. All you have to do is click in the show notes below, or what you can do, guys, if you can scan on the QR code right here, guys, on the screen. You can do it that way as well. Also, scan on the QR code right there and go download the ebook. It is free. It's my philosophy is to give away the information to you for free, guys. It's you build wealth when you have the right strategy, the right counsel, and with the right team. Right? The era of the solopreneur is dead. It's gone. But if you're really wanting to take advantage of this situation when it comes to what Trump's doing economically, click on the link below, guys, or in the show notes, or you can scan on the QR code right here and go download the ebook. Now, you may say, Dale, I can't do none. I can't do any of those. I got you. Don't worry about it. Here you go, baby. It's what you can do. Also, you can also, guys, download the free ebook, baby, right here. You see it right there. You can say, DM me the word real estate right here. Right here, real estate right here. DM me that word real estate as well, also. And my team will get you out the link tonight to download it. It's that simple, guys. But guys, I hope I gave you guys some value. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you. This was a very, very fun kind of a podcast for your partner. I got to realistically try to dive into this new concept, which is expanding the monetary base, but not expanding the monetary base. Therefore, rewriting the entire financial system. This was so good. But guys, man, thank you so much for that. God bless you. You know I ended every time, guys. Before you leave, while you can, baby. You see that thing? Oh, my bad. Before I get off, tomorrow at 5 p.m. CST, Cliff Hunter and I will be doing our Real Estate Friday live, guys. Straight up live. Right, guys? Here's a little bit of a teaser for it, and I'm telling you, we're gonna go in more deeper on this from a real estate standpoint.
What's good, baby? It's your boy Dale. I'm back in the saddle again. Our motto is to buy, build. We already bought it already, so we already own it, free and clear. Refinance to long-term debt, cash flow. That is the motto. Cliff, man, is that a pretty strong motto, man? What do you think?
Man, the model is strong. Like, you're getting each piece of the invest, right?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. CST, Real Estate Friday Live with your partner and Cliff. We're going to go a little bit deeper on this cryptocurrency, rewriting of the financial play, right? But how it's going to drive down potentially mortgage rates, which would be good for home buyers on the retail space and also for those investors that buy properties below wholesale. Could flipping be coming back stronger and faster than ever with this potential new economy that Trump is trying to rewrite, right? So we're going to talk about all that tomorrow, guys. But guys, thank you so much for your time. God bless you. I ended every time, baby. Before you leave them while you can, baby. You see that thing, baby? Said take the picture for your mom and them and highlight your partner, guys. Bless you guys. See you next week, guys. All right, y'all. Peace.
Okay, so you did fixes and flips first, or were they? Now it sounds like you're more buying whole. Okay, so you're wholesaling first. Okay,
because I was broke. I had no credit, I had no money, so I had to get some money coming in. So I learned how to do wholesale.
And you were doing wholesaling at the good time too.
2000.
When it wasn't so saturated.
I kind of saw the debacle coming. Okay, it didn't make any sense. I was like, wait a minute, how can you lend out to retail buyers 99.7%?
Yeah,
just a little bit of a down tick. It's insolvent.
And you got to remember, in some states, because I lived in Florida at the time, you could have loan to value above 100% of your property.
Right.
The first property that I bought, it was 110%. We left the bank with like $30,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was amazing to me. I was like, why am I not doing this all the time? But then clearly 08, 09 let me know why people shouldn't have been doing that all the time.
08, 09, that's why I made a lot of line share of my money.
Wow.
People were
Okay.
actually running from the cows. I was running to it.
Of course.
Because I saw it was coming.
Okay.
A lot of my business colleagues back then were buying flippers.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was wise for me to share 50% of my profit with Uncle Sam. Then he didn't do no work.
Okay.
So why would I give him free money?
Of course.
I said, okay, how can I make sure I'm still legal, but keep the lion's share of the cash flow?
Of course.
So I began studying the tax code with my accountants and CPAs, and I said, okay, I'm going to buy a whole lot of properties. Now watch this. I actually buy a lot of properties. And I take home money when I actually acquire it every single time.
Okay, you need to break that down just a little bit.
If you wanted to know how successful real estate investors make money with their acquire real estate and not when they sell it, click on the link below or swipe up and download our free ebook, Distressed Property Investing. The blueprint is in the ebook. Stay blessed, holla at your partner, and download the ebook today.